Investor Connect podcast program. This is Hall T. Martin. I'm the host of the show, in which we interview angel investors, venture capital, private equity, family offices, and many other investor groups for startups and growth companies. I hope you enjoy this episode. Thank you for joining us. Well, hello, this is Hall Martin with Investor Connect. Today I'm here with Mike Krilivsky of RageOn. Mike, thank you for joining us.
Hey, Hall. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Great. So what was your background before joining RageOn? What did you do before this one?
So before RageOn, the series of startups included a couple record labels, the largest dance party company in New England, where we had some of the biggest DJs in the world, 4 weekly parties. And then we built a lifestyle brand and scaled that around the country, and then saw all the pain points in merchandise. And that's kind of led us into the on-demand print space. We said, why do we have to spend all this money on buying inventory in bulk? Why do you only print 1 or 2 or 3 colors on the middle of a shirt? Why do these shirts crack, peel, fade, and wrinkle, and they're kind of done after a few washes? Like, why does all this stuff happen? And so this is what led us into the on-demand print space.
So for investors who want to invest in this on-demand space, what's your advice for them? What should they be looking for?
So I think this is a great question, because I think things are changing. They should look for founders and companies that are innovating. I know that might sound trite, but there's actual physical examples I can point out. And some of my friends have invested in these companies. Some of my friends are in these companies. And I'm not saying it in a derogatory way. I'm saying it in a learning way, in a textbook way, that I believe we should follow in the footsteps of the innovators in this market. And to see a clear kind of example, you have Amazon on one hand, which was losing tons of money on their marketplace for the first 12, 13 years of their existence, but Jeff never stopped innovating. And each innovation helped him get to the next level. And I'm sure there were several failed innovations along the way. But the point was, investors and the people behind Jeff believed in him enough to keep this train going. Now, on the contrary, you have companies that started a really good niche, like Teespring will take, for example. They really nailed the campaign niche, and they scaled to about $200 million in revenue, had a $650 million valuation. Company did not innovate anything after making just a simple campaign model line from when they launched in like 2011, 12-ish, all the way till kind of their peak in 2013, and then kind of their demise in like 16, 17. Recently, because they didn't do anything else, they received $54 million from Andreessen Horowitz, and they spent it on 60-year-old screen printing technology instead of innovating for what they thought the future would be like. So they spent this money on this. The market changed, or they didn't need so many screen printed units in bulk, and people wanted more on-demand stuff. And then eventually they nearly went out of business and had a $5 million kind of like save me investment, where they have 15 million valuation now from 650 million. And it's all due to lack of innovation, 100%. So that's kind of the most clear-cut example of how I'm thinking investors should invest in this space. They should find things that founders can see that are really grained in the space. And if they think they make sense, if their assumptions are aligned with the founders after, being explained it, then I think that's a good investment for an investor. And that's coming from an investor. I'm an investor.
That's great. Good advice. Look for the innovation. That's where the new things come from. But it seems like the on-demand e-commerce space is evolving rapidly right now. How do you see it changing?
Yeah, so it really is, Paul. It's a good observation. The space started, with just some primary stuff like mugs and stuff from Cafe Press and Zazzle like 14, 12 years ago, and some basic t-shirts. And now the space is evolving to very niche and high quality and wide range of products that can be made on demand. So with thousands of different product types, maybe even millions at this point, that people can do on demand, now you're starting to come across all these different challenges. Well, people want to sell like licensed product. People want to sell their favorite brands. People want to sell things that you can't even do on demand. And then other challenges are people people look at Amazon because Amazon rules the world right now, and they want stuff in 30 minutes. They want stuff in a day. They want stuff in 2 days. And the current landscape is you're going to get a 2 to 3, sometimes 4 week turnaround from an on-demand company. So I think the evolution is more niche premium products. You're going to see turnaround times getting faster, and you're going to see a lot of interesting things happening with licenses and major brands.
How is the landscape for investing changing based on that scenario, the move to niche premium products? And where do you see that happening?
Yeah, so I'll use my company, for example. So I'm also a CEO of RageOn.com. And RageOn saw this gap where everybody was printing these products in bulk, fashion forward shirts. And it was very expensive, not really green for the environment, because if you made a design that didn't sell well, you'd be stuck with this enormous stock of it, wasted money, wasted time, everything. So, and then a lot of these shirts that are screen printed, they cracked, peeled, and faded. So we said, hey, let's make a shirt that never cracks, peels, fades, or wrinkles. Let's make one that's completely green. We only make it once a customer actually orders it, once the money's in the bank. So there's no risk. And then let's allow the customer to print edge to edge, like not just a simple logo in the middle. They could tile the logo all the way sleeve to sleeve all over the whole shirt, step and repeat. Or they could put a photograph on a shirt, crystal clear image of a pizza if you want, or any of your art. And so this is a very kind of like premium, fine-tuned niche capability that we saw no one else was doing in the entire world, one at a time, made to order. So for 6 months, we tried finding manufacturers that thought this was a good idea, and everybody told us we're crazy. You need to buy in bulk and that you would never be able to get the logistics to work. But we did. We started taking orders on demand and quickly scaled to a multi-million-dollar business with this very new niche that no one else did. Because a lot of people felt the same way. They said, I want to be limitless with my art. I don't want to be limited to 3 separate colors. I don't want a t-shirt that fades after 3 washes. I want one that lasts forever. They felt the same way. A lot of their assumptions were aligned. So RageOn started growing, and then everyone's like, wow, that's really cool what you're doing. I want to do the same thing. I want to create and sell products online too, without any upfront costs, and also be limitless. And we were like, wouldn't it be a great idea if we empowered all these brands and artists and people to have the same ability as we do? Like, how big could that be if we put that power in everybody else's hands? So 2014, we invented this technology, and we're thinking, hey, mobile first, because everyone's on their phones, and even more people are going to be on their phones at that year. And so we built the best custom design app in the world for merchandise. And it's the RageOn app. It's available on Apple right now, iTunes. And this was a complete innovation. There was nothing like this in the entire world. And it was a major risk because building tech, building an app was super expensive. We were a very profitable e-commerce company at the time. So it was a major risk to jump into this. But we said, hey, if we want to get to that next level, if we want to stop just selling books like Amazon was, what's the next play? The next play is a marketplace play. Let's let everybody sell everything. We built this app. We built the marketplace. It took a couple of years, launched it in 2016, and it went incredible. We have over 750,000 stores signed up, millions of fans using it. And that was the first of many innovations. But I hope that answers that question kind of fully with context, because I think it's important that you innovate and you don't settle. If you settle, we could have kept scaling as an e-commerce company slowly but surely, but then someone can kind of easily learn what you're doing and take away your thunder. You got to be on to the next thing before they catch you on that first thing.
Well, like most innovations, you have to overcome challenges to get there. And it sounds like there was a technical challenge in putting the system together. And then there was a marketing challenge in putting that marketplace together. What can you say about overcoming the technical challenges? What did you have to do to get there to make that process work?
Yeah, so the technical challenges in the beginning, as an e-commerce store, we really didn't have any engineers on our team. So finding an engineer that shared in our vision, that was the first challenge. We moved from Boston to Cleveland, Ohio, and I had to go to every technical breakfast meetup after work meetup, during work meetup at Apple stores all over the Cleveland, Northeast Ohio area to try to find a developer. That was the first challenge. That was the hardest challenge. Still might even be the hardest challenge these days is to find really great engineering talent. Seems a lot harder than to find even capital. So first challenge is getting engineers that really love what you're doing and then getting them behind your vision and making sure they're good enough too. We have a really high bar for technical folks that we bring on board. And then next is you have to have a good design and product team to kind of iron it out for the engineers so they know exactly what you're talking about. Because if you're actually innovating, if you're doing something that no one else is doing, it's kind of hard to be like, hey, do this thing. You have to like literally write it out, like use tools like Photoshop and InVision to properly convey your ideas so an engineer understands and can make it the way you want it. And then you're going to run into other technical challenges like, hey, did one of these other guys pick up on our idea and are they creating it at the same time or something? So fortunately for us, we patented it in 2014. We had several different innovations within that patent and they all cleared this year. Well, 2018, we're in 2019 now. So I think one of the first things is if you are truly innovating, some of the technical challenges are you have to really diagram it out for your engineering team. And if it's a true innovation, you got to trust the patent process and co-author your patent with your attorney, find a good patent attorney, And other technical challenges that come up are scaling. So once it actually comes out in 2016, as mentioned, we had 750,000 stores sign up in less than 3 years now, and millions of people use it. So we have all sorts of scaling issues. They've uploaded over 100 million products. Imagine our AWS bills and everything. It's
I can imagine.
So we had to get some talented engineers that one of them worked at a company called Tiny Prints, which was an on-demand company for like postcards. He helped build the whole back-end system and scaled it to $90 million in revenue, and then came over at RageOn and helped us with our scaling issues to help us get to the next level. So I would say find folks that have been there and done that, and then get them on the team to basically solve some of your problems that you would anticipate.
Then there was building the marketplace, and marketplaces always have a challenge themselves, usually the chicken and egg, which comes first to build the marketplace up. How did you get that up and running?
Yeah, so I think one of the hardest, we have some venture capitalists, Rocket Ship VC. They're the original creators of Amazon's marketplace, actually, and they sold it to Jeff for $500 million. They also created Walmart Labs and sold it to them for $500 million. So they created two marketplaces that are the two biggest in the US. And their assumptions are kind of aligned with ours. In order to make a marketplace thrive, you do need to master the supply end first. You need to have supply. So we really focused on that supply. So coming from e-commerce, we already had thousands of designs that we made and that some of our close artist friends made that we're able to start the marketplace with. And then when we launched the tech, we made sure that it was like super easy for anyone to create and sell a design online. And so we made it easier than anyone in the world to start creating a product and post it for sale. Literally, you can do that in about 13 seconds from start to finish. So that was the first thing we concentrated on. And like I said, we nailed it. There was like 100 million products. And the next thing is the demand. So that is the chicken and the egg is like, hey, now we need the demand. So when you have good brands, you can concentrate on your SEO. You can have these brands post a link to their stores all over the internet. You could then invest in Facebook ads, then invest in Google Shopping and AdWords. So you have to monitor your kind of ROAS, your return on ad spend. You have to push these brands, give them marketing tools to get it out there. And that's kind of the strategy. We rely on the brands that use our tools to go make money because that's what they want to do. They're properly incentivized. And then on our end, we teamed up with one of the top Facebook ad agencies that was responsible for the number 2 fastest growing Shopify store behind Kylie Jenner. So we have some really strong marketing partners, a really strong head of marketing to make sure we drum up the demand to make things pop off.
Talk about the risks you see in this space. In some cases, we encounter regulatory risk, in others as technical risk, and in others as market risk. What are the risks in this particular space in the on-demand commerce space?
So, yeah, the risks are unique here. You're not spending a ton of money on products up front because you don't make it until someone buys it. So that's not a risk opposed to traditional retail and e-commerce. What is the risk for a user-generated marketplace is that people upload stuff that they shouldn't. They literally grab Mickey Mouse from Google images. They take that Mickey Mouse, they put it on a t-shirt, and then they try to sell it. Now, this is common among all the marketplaces like Amazon, Shopify, even ones that aren't commerce marketplaces like Facebook and Google, that people use images without their permission, put it up there. So the challenges are working within DMCA law, that's Digital Millennial Copyright Act. You have to have a hired DMCA agent, which we do. You have to make friends with a lot of IP attorneys, which we have. Get them really excited about your business and your marketplace and your vision and your dream, and then get them also equity incentivized. So literally all of our legal entities that we work with, they've either invested in us or they take half their pay in equity, or one even takes more than half their pay in equity from us because we want to make sure that our incentives are aligned with theirs. So I think the biggest risks are in how you deal with intellectual property. And I think RageOn has done an incredible job, and we're thought leaders in the space. We even started building a blockchain company under the hood to help even further protect major brands' IP. Like we work with some large brands like Hello Kitty, Netflix, T-Mobile, Kiss, Lisa Frank, multi-billion-dollar brands. And we want to make sure that we have their best interests all the way down to the artist down the street. So I think that's the biggest challenge in this space.
That's great. Well, in the last few minutes that we have here, what else should we cover?
Actually, one more thing we should cover. Another challenge is turnaround times. So in the on-demand space, it's pretty typical to get like a 2, 3, 4 week turnaround time. That's because when an order comes in, you have to have that processing period to make sure the order is legit and everything, and the artwork's in place. Then you have to have a team actually make that product. If it's a simple shirt, they could take the blank, they could print on it, and then they could package it up and then send it out. If it's a cut and sew product, like RageOn specializes in, like a cut and sew sweatshirt, they have to literally have rolls of fabric, print on the fabric, cut the fabric out, then sew it, then package it, then send it out. So this has been a very interesting process for us. In the beginning, we had up to like a 2-month turnaround time when the manufacturers couldn't keep up with us. But now we're on to one of the greatest innovations of the on-demand space. We will be one of the first on-demand companies in the entire world, the first to launch one-day shipping. So we're taking a page out of Amazon's book, working with the creators of Amazon, and we're making one-day shipping happen, which means a customer orders today, we literally make it today, no matter how hard it is, and then package it today, send it out today, and you get it tomorrow. So this has never been done. Even the leading on-demand companies, they're 2 to 3 weeks, sometimes a week and a half, a week if you're lucky. And we will have a 1, 2 day, 3 day shipping option in regular.
So how best for listeners to get back in touch with you?
Yeah, so the best way is probably just email. So my email is mike@rageon, RAGEON.com. Mike@rageon.com. We are in an oversubscribed round right now. Hall's been really nice to us and great to us. So we're opening some spots for his network in particular. So just reference that in the email, and I'm happy to get in touch with anyone, talk some shop. I love meeting new people and connecting new people.
Well, that's great. We appreciate you taking time and love to have you back for a follow-up. I'm particularly interested to see how you're going to implement blockchain to solve the trademark issues, and looking forward to learning more about the innovations you guys are coming up with.
Well, thanks, Hall, so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Investor Connect helps investors interested in startup funding. In this podcast series, experienced investors share their experience and advice. You can learn more at investorconnect.org. T. Martin is the director of Investor Connect, which is a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to the education of investors for early stage funding. All opinions expressed by Hall and podcast guests are solely their own opinions and do not reflect the opinion of Investor Connect. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon as a basis for investment decisions.